As you guys can see, I'm running the real Ryujinx Emulator on my Android device. Let's get started. Yo, what's up guys, it's ApTreX here. Today we'll be trying out something new that hasn't been tested before. I'll be trying to run the Ryujinx Emulator, a Nintendo Switch emulator for PC on my Android device with the help of Horizon Windows Emulator for Android. Now I have already made couple of videos on this emulator. We tried it out with GTFI and we set it up on our Android devices. Horizon is an Wine based Windows emulator for Android which is capable of emulating Windows apps and games, and we managed to run GTFI on it at straight up 60 to 70 FPS. You can check out those videos on the iCard above. I have also made a dedicated video on how to set up Horizon Windows emulator on Android if you are curious, because we'll be running Ryujinx emulator inside this Windows emulator. But first of all, go to default apps and then Wine configuration and make sure that the Windows version which you have set on Horizon emulator is Windows 10. The next step is to simply add the Ryujinx Nintendo Switch emulator's PC version on your Android device. As you can see, I have loaded 1.2.9 version of Ryujinx emulator. It's a bit old, but you can try this out with newer versions as well. But if you try opening Ryujinx emulator, you will notice the command prompt will open but it will force stop immediately. The easiest fix for it, just go ahead and tap on the Ryujinx emulator multiple times until the console starts loading. That's how simple it is. Like if you try Ryujinx emulator, it will open and close immediately. But if you tap on the app icon multiple times for like 6 to 7 times straight up, then the console will immediately initialize and you will be able to see that all of the data has been loaded. Now the next step is to simply wait for few seconds and immediately you will notice a black screen. Now this black screen is because Ryujinx Windows emulator for Android has successfully started on our Android device. Now when you open this emulator for the first time, obviously you gotta set it up. That's why it's saying Ryujinx error, so we can simply skip over that by tapping on the OK button, and there we go guys, Ryujinx emulator running on our Android device. Later on we'll be testing out Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu on this emulator, so watch this video till the end. If we try to explore this emulator a bit, you will be able to see that it's the original Ryujinx Nintendo Switch emulator. But the first thing that you gotta do is make sure to open Ryujinx folder and add its appropriate files that are required for running Ryujinx emulator, for example keys, etc., which you will dump from your Nintendo Switch, and you will need to add them in the system folder of Ryujinx emulator. For this you can use the file manager that is available inside this Windows emulator. Once that has been done, we'll need to tap on the tools section. You will be able to see the firmware option where we'll need to add the firmware or else Ryujinx emulator does not work. You might have already seen that. Now adding the firmware is bit difficult because the D directory on my device has lot of stuff. I think more than 200 GB of data. That's why it is showing me on blank screen. But if in your case you don't really have that much data, then you will be able to easily import the firmware and set it up on the Ryujinx emulator. And if you see a white screen, then just wait for few seconds. Now right here you will be able to see that I have opened the settings of Ryujinx Windows emulator. You get the option to add game directory, which we'll be doing later on, but we also get options like system settings, and Ryujinx is the sole survivor in terms of best Nintendo Switch emulators for Android. In terms of CPU settings, we also have CPU modes, etc. Nonetheless, in terms of graphics API, you will be able to see that Vulkan API is being used along with our Android device graphic driver. And once that has been done, just go ahead and add your games directory so your folder or games are recognized inside the Ryujinx emulator. Now right here I have loaded Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu's game directory inside the Ryujinx emulator and it is showing unknown. To fix it, what you'll need to do is just go ahead and tap on run application and wait for few seconds. And those of you guys watching in home, you might be thinking that Ryujinx emulator on Android is super easy now, but no, it's a bit difficult to set up because we are using an Windows emulator on Android to emulate a PC version of Ryujinx emulator, which is a Nintendo Switch emulator for PC, not supported for Android. So yeah, it is very complicated. Nonetheless, after you tap run application on an empty game, it will force close your emulator, and once again you will need to open the emulator multiple times by tapping on the Ryujinx emulator icon, and after few tries you will immediately notice that the console for Ryujinx emulator will launch. Now this might take a lot of tries, as you will be able to see right here, but finally the console for Ryujinx emulator has successfully started, and yeah, Ryujinx emulator will load once again, and this time it will show you your games. Now make sure to note that you need to import the keys or else it will show just blank and nothing will work. And regarding the game, if Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu will run on it or not, we'll find out the answer to that later on in this video. And if you are wondering about minimum requirements, then I would probably say very high-end Android device. Now in this video I was unable unable to completely set up the Ryujinx Emulator because I was unable to import the firmware file. Because if I want to import firmware, then I'll need to clear my device's D directory. So this is a test of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu inside Ryujinx Emulator PC without actually using a firmware. So the next step which you'll simply do is make sure to right click or just do this whatever I'm doing. Tap on the left side, then tap on the right side of your screen multiple times and you will get the option to run application. So here's the moment of truth. Ryujinx PC Emulator, will it be able to emulate a Nintendo Switch game on Android? So we have tapped on the run application and we'll need to wait for a few seconds, because in the FPS bar at the left you'll be able to see that it goes black, and once again the FPS bar has gone blank, which means that the Ryujinx Emulator might have actually crashed. Now once again I am telling you guys this, I was unable to import the firmware inside Ryujinx Emulator, so that might be also causing this black screen or crashing issue. But I'm pretty sure that it will be very difficult to emulate a Nintendo Switch game on an PC emulator on Android. Still, I'll be trying to import a firmware inside the Ryujinx Emulator and test out this game once again, and if it works then I'll upload a video on my channel. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on all notification if you want to watch that video. This was basically the part 1 of setting up Ryujinx PC Emulator on Android and how to run this emulator on our Android device. And you can also watch my other videos which I have made on testing emulators like RPCS3 emulator on this Windows emulator for Android. You can even see that God of War 3 was able to run successfully on my device. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video though. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out.